transition going on with your staff too. What are your intentions with regards to your assistants and your coordinators?
Absolutely, good question. You know, we've had tremendous progress this year, and the staff and the players are the most important part of this equation. So we are working, and we'll work through the bowl game to make sure we do everything possible to retain as many staff members as we possibly can.
On the left here, Preston.
Coach, when Willie left, almost instantaneously players were taking to Twitter. You had a hashtag about you that they wanted you to be their head coach. Was there something that you did? Did you run through a wall in front of all them, or why do you think they wanted you so much?
What I do? Where's Jake, Terrell? Those guys are up there. Man, you know what? You know what we did? We had fun this year and we got better. This is what players don't understand. This is oftentimes lost in coaching. If you're doing it as hard and as good as you can, and you invest your heart in it, you learn as much from your players as they learn from you. You know, I've coached football now for 20 years, okay? Hard, God, I don't know if I've ever had this much fun. And at the same time, just, man, these guys are special. They're special, and you need to be here in the building. You need to be around the locker room. You need to be around these guys. We owe them our best, and they got our best. So all I could say is I was blown away, man. I was blown away. I was humbled beyond what anyone can explain. It's just so I'm not great at Twitter. You know, I'm getting better. You know, I'm getting good with those fancy pictures and whatnot. But I can't do. I mean, these guys create avatars and all this other stuff. Incredible. I mean, I got fingers like sausage links. I can't get them on those little buttons, right? So I was, you know, I was blown away, man. I was blown away.
Right here on the left, Ryan.
Mario, can you speak to your experience at Florida International, some of the challenges you had there, and kind of your path after that to try and get another shot at being a head coach?
Oh, it was an easy job. You know, we'll get there, and it was great just taking the job, lots of enthusiasm, and then we kind of went through the trill. We'll just go right down the line. The first meeting was, okay, we just found out, by the way, Coach, you've got a 5-year probation coming up. I go, oh, great, thank you. But besides that, we're good. It's like, no, you got 17 ineligible players, and you're probably going to lose another 24 scholarships. Oh, well. So the good news is coming, right? Well, not quite yet. Not quite yet. We're going to get the contemporaneous APR penalty. Oh, what is that exactly? You're going to lose a scholarship for every guy that's not eligible. Oh, so is that 40 now? What is that number? So, but it was in the 20s of somewhere around there, and you know, we didn't have a facility. We didn't have a locker room. I'll tell you, it was like the perfect way to cut your teeth and learn football or how to manage an entire operation the hard way. I mean, we had to, geez, do you remember those days? I remember we were going to take our buses to the Orange Bowl for a scrimmage, and the buses didn't show up. A bill hadn't been paid. But that's usually, you know, the head coach, you don't do that. So I remember emergency staff meeting. Okay, Jeremy, what do you have? Oh, I've got a Suburban Tahoe. Great, 6. You take the specialist. Go now. You go. What do you have? The family truckster. Well, I could fit 10 wide receivers. All right, you're gone. Take them. And we managed to get the guys over there. So another time we sat on the runway, and we were about to play an easy team. I think it was Alabama or something like that, you know. So we kept asking the question, what else do we have to deal with here? And we didn't have an academic advisor in place for a couple of years, but the good news was that in our first 4 games, we were going to play Penn State, Alabama, Florida, and Miami. And those are good, easy out-of-conference games when you're 0-12. And you just made the jump to Division I football. So what I'm trying to say, it was probably the greatest training ground that you could ever have, because everyone expected you to fold and everyone expected you to just kind of pack it in and go away. And I totally credit the coaches and the players during that time that had the resiliency, just the most incredible attitude to just say, we're not going to let it bother us. You know, we're not going to let it stop us from attaining our goals, and ended up in a conference championship for the university.
On the right, Jonathan.
Mario, you had that experience as a player winning a national championship, and then opportunity at Alabama. What makes you convinced that you can lead Oregon to win its first national championship?
Completely convinced. You know, having been a player on it, when you see it as a player, it gives you an idea, but you don't know the ins and outs. Then you're part of it as a GA. As a GA, I was at the University of Miami when they were coming off of probation, 5-6. So, and 3 years later, we're playing for the national title there. What you learn is all the details of not only changing the roster, but also academically the adjustments that you have to make when you're recruiting prospects, making sure that they fit the mold of what the university requires, right? Because whatever you have coming in is going to make the ultimate difference, right, as to what's going to come out. The practice structure, the off-season structure, everything that goes with that. From there, we went to Rutgers, and at Rutgers, I know I'm tailing off a little bit on this answer, but at Rutgers was another probationary situation where there was absolutely no energy and enthusiasm. There was no fan base. And through, again, just that was more guerrilla marketing and recruiting, trying to get pockets of people to believe and trust just by outworking and showing goodwill on a daily basis, whether it be at the high schools, whether it be at clinics, conventions, whatever it may be. And then, you know, along with the FIU part, I mean, you're looking at, you know, 3 of the, you know, the better turnarounds in college football over the last 20 years. So I think the part that really, you know, as a segue in Alabama, is that lesson plan was more of teaching you how to sustain success and understanding every single phase of the program from day 1 to day 365 and the restart button that goes with it, of how to manage, how to elevate, how to adjust to every single thing that comes in the way of making a run at the national championship while attaining unbelievable academic success. A significant amount of, I believe we had 17 guys in the bowl game that already had graduated, you know, and that number climbed to the 21, 22 range. So you want to talk about regimen, structure, recruiting, player development, player acquisition, personnel use, staffing, I should say, football operations. We talk about all the time, it was like a 4-year process of getting my PhD in football, you know, under Coach Saban. So obviously extremely thankful for that. You should see, I got to show you this library in my office of the how-tos, the what-tos, and, you know, when you're there 4 years, the last 4 years, you've kind of, before the situation pops up, it already rolls off your tongue because you've seen it and done it. So those have all been valuable experiences and helped me to get to this point. And we plan on applying a significant amount of that here at the University of Oregon with the already incredible things that have happened here and the resources that we have.
Right here on the left.
Coach, first, fans want to know, is Jim Leavitt going to be back as defensive coordinator? And number 2, there was a lot of angst, obviously, around Willie Taggart leaving among the administration here, the players, fans. Were you maybe the only person who didn't feel the same angst because you thought, hey, this is an opportunity for me, and B, that maybe you could help ease that angst by maintaining some type of continuity if you became the head coach?
Well, to the first answer, Coach Leavitt has obviously done a great job this year and is coaching through the bowl game. We're going to do everything possible to retain him. You know, obviously in this business, so many opportunities pop up for guys that, you know, you've got to continue the course and do your best and let it play out. In terms of, you know, when Coach Taggart left, it was hard for all of us because he's a tremendous friend to all of us and has been incredibly just good to everyone in the room. And this is what I told the team, and this is probably pretty important to share. These guys will tell you, we're much better right now than we were a year ago today. And instead of getting angry, instead of getting upset and getting all these things where your emotions get all riled up, you've got to look at that as a gift. You know, it came and it went, and now you take it and you run with it, because anything else is wasting time. And I think we realize that. We're thankful for it, and certainly wish him the best. Man, I can't look at it any other way. And I think the more our players realize that and think about it, I think they'll see it that way as well.
On the right, Austin, and then we'll just work our way down.
Mario, you touched on this earlier, but what was it like to be around Nick Saban on a daily basis? Did you come away with any secrets?
I never expected this question to come up, right? You know what? Tremendous professional. That's the best way to describe it. Miss Terry was so good to our family, his wife. They embraced us. Remember, I was from Miami now, born and raised. And you might want to take a snapshot of living off of South Beach and then getting dropped off in Tuscaloosa now. It's a little bit of a change. It was an incredible experience, and left behind some people that you love and trust and admire, and at the same time, super happy for them and their continued success. But he's Coach Saban. He's a ball coach that's respected and loved by his players, that is a teacher, and he committed to helping me learn and grow as a coach and as a person. And I ate up every second of it. How could you not, right? You get an opportunity like that, you do so, and I did, and I'm forever grateful.
Right next to Amber. That's a two-parter, first for Mario and also for Rob. First one to you was, on Tuesday, Rob said that he wants someone with a long-term vision and commitment after obviously, you know, a year ago we sat here with a different introduction.
Yeah.
What did you pitch, because you don't have many ties to the West Coast, about why you thought you would be best to be the long-term guy here? And then to Rob, what about his vision spoke to you?
Okay, yeah, I figured that would be brought up at some point in time or the other, right? Just like Mom said, she's down there and I'm up here at Oregon. I know this. People say football is football, but it's much more than that, all right? I know a couple things that transcend geography in every way, shape, and form, and that's being honest, working hard, and caring. And you could put me down in American Samoa, okay? Send me back to Miami, ship me to Australia, and that's not going to change. And that transcends any and all geographical barriers. And when you're in the sport of football and you spend so much time together and you bleed and you sweat, you have these highs and lows, man. You sacrifice like you do. That stuff you cannot fake, okay? That stuff is clear and evident, and that's why we have such a foundation of trust with our players. We fell all in with Oregon after being here just a short amount of time. And we want to be here until you got to drag me away kicking and screaming, you know, at that point. And we made it known, you know, as we talked and talking with Rob, and I'm sure he'll get more into it. But I wanted it to be known. I wanted it to be put in writing, whatever had to be done, so that there is no chatter. So there is no, hey, we've kind of seen something like this, because I get it and I understand how recruiting works and how people want to use things against you. So I think I'll be really happy with the results.
I think you can see exactly why. You know, obviously, we have the advantage of having him and his family be here for a year. When you sit down and talk about what it meant to be here, and you hear, you know, how much they love the community, how much they've invested in the community, you know, that's a big part of it. And you see how they've made the connections in the community, in the recruiting circles, and then you look at everywhere that he's been, you know, how he's invested in it, and the results that he's produced. It's easy to see he's got a vision and a clear plan, and you know, we're going to put his PhD to work.
Rob, don't go anywhere. Another question for you. I'm sure you were impressed with the support from the players, but what did it mean to have a physical petition given to you from so many of the guys?
You know, we were well down the road. And again, these things don't happen in one day at 1 minute. I get the chance to observe the relationships that build over the year. So it was not a surprise to me that there was incredible support for Mario or for this staff. Because I get to see the whole transition. A year ago, they were just meeting these guys, and you can see how quickly they build relationships, how quickly they build trust, and the effort that they and their families put into making this a family. So I wasn't surprised. We were well down the road, and again, you know, that's a great factor. That's not the lead factor, but it is affirmation of what they think of Mario and the staff. But again, I knew that well before we ever started this process, because I get to see it on a daily basis.